Hello and welcome to the show. Today's episode is quite a special one. I'm going to tell a story, one of my favourite stories from my life, I guess you could say. Sorry, bit popular. No worries, mate. My friend and I, Michael Smith, set out with the task, kind of the idea of building a theme park in the woods. This obviously sounds ridiculous. Now I'm 24, it just sounds like a stupid idea. Because it was a stupid idea. There were two minor major accidents. Yeah, I think we were in about year 9 or so. It was a long time ago. I mean, obviously it was like nearly a decade ago. So, well, it was a decade ago. So I don't remember exactly, but you know, I do remember the majority. In school lessons, we would draw up ideas, just sketch them out. We came up with a number of ideas, but the first idea that we actually put into action was probably it sounds so stupid, right? But it was probably the most ridiculous of all the ideas. Just completely unfathomably stupid. It's unbelievable that we even in year 9 we should have known that this was such a ridiculous idea, but for some reason we did not. Oh god, I'm sorry. You know drop towers like Detonator and such? Well basically I can't even say it without laughing. Such a stupid idea. Okay. Compose myself. So you know drop towers like Detonator, we basically got a plastic picnic type chair. Took the legs off, took the legs off, and we basically attached that to some rope, and then we attached the rope around a tree, and then we got another rope and we swung that over a branch on the tree, a very big tree, a very wide tree. Swung that over the top of the branch and like attached that or whatever, however we did that. And so the idea would be that you'd sit in the chair. I don't know if we I'm pretty sure we didn't even, in fact we didn't even get that far with this before we realised that it was ridiculous. But so I don't think we would have got to the safety kind of precaution seatbelt type stage of development. But anyway, the idea would have been that you pull yourself up on the rope and then just let yourself fall down. Obviously it's ridiculous, but yeah, that was kind of the first idea, and that failed miserably, obviously. I think we definitely got to the stage of attaching it around, and we realised that the branch, or the trunk, was a lot fatter at the top, and I mean that's the least of the problems with that idea. Second one, this idea mildly worked actually, so surprisingly. In fact, this was probably one of two where we actually got to the stage where we could effectively ride it, but this was still a dreadful idea. Actually, it's not, you know, a crazy idea, but this was basically a spinning pirate ship type ride. Obviously, two 13, 14-year-old boys, as good as they can do, I guess. It was basically a mattress. I assume we found it in the woods, which is skanky of us, but attached to a tree branch with either rope or slightly elasticated rope around the side, and then you just lie or sit in it and then spin around. And what we found in this was that it was essentially, when you sat in it, the ropes kind of pulled it up, so it pulled the mattress up into a kind of semi-cocoon. I still remember it was reasonably fun, but it wasn't quite what we had in mind. The next one was probably, I guess, the most ambitious one, but also it wasn't that far-fetched in the sense that it would have worked if we continued on it. This we did with one of my other friends who is sadly passed away now, but he helped us make this, and it was essentially a toboggan roller coaster is what we kind of envisioned it as. I suppose you could call it a slide, but it's a fairly advanced slide. We got corrugated sheets of metal that we again found in the woods. All our materials were mainly from the woods, and there was like a hill type thing. We got a big branch, or a couple of big branches, put them down the side. We had a long tube that we found, the kind of ribbed tube. Okay, we're hammering out the corrugated iron into like a U shape, slight U shape, and I can't explain it, but there was like a tree at the top of the hill, and we positioned that there, and we were nailing it to the branch on the other side, and we were actually going alright. We were going to put the tube that we found over the top of the corrugated iron there to create a barrier to cover the sharp bit, basically. It does sound quite dangerous. It probably was quite dangerous. My friend actually hurt himself on this. He was hammering away or something, and he slipped and he cut somewhere around his arm or wrist area, and I was kind of terrified, because I'm not amazing with blood, but I'm good with blood in video games and obviously movies. Quite embrace that, but any real blood and I'd turn to shit. So we went back to my other friend's house and got him bandaged up, and I think at that point we basically abandoned that idea. The last one was, I think, basically our last foray into the idea. This was also the most simple and slap hazard one, and this is where the second accident occurred, which was to me. This was again using materials that we found in the woods. There was some kind of animal type stable in the woods. I'm not sure what kind of animal, but it had corrugated iron and like a trough, like a pig's food trough or whatever. Anyway, we got the trough. I don't know if we got other things as well, because it was a little bit higher than a trough. I think it was at least kind of probably. I would be surprised if it was less than 3 or 4 foot high. I don't know if we got the trough and positioned it on top of something to raise it higher, but we essentially got this trough, and then we had a gate, a large, long metal gate, like a farming type gate, positioned that kind of on top of it, so it was like that. And then we got more of the famed corrugated iron sheets and put that as a runway, so it was kind of a go down and then slide across. And the vehicle that we used was an upside down picnic table, plastic picnic table, with the legs taken off, removed. Then we got a picnic chair with the legs snapped off, and put that on the picnic table, on the upside down picnic table, and we taped that on with like plastic tape, not duct tape, which would have obviously been the sensible thing to do. Well, the sensible thing to do would have been not to have done this at all, but we weren't sensible. This time we had 2 other guys with us, my friend's brother and his friend. So we all took turns in going down it, and it looked great fun. First guy went down, yeah, fine. Second guy, fine. My friend went down, yep, fine. And then it came to me. So I don't know if it was just my technique, or, you could argue it was my weight. I was definitely the weightiest of the 4 companions, or perhaps it was the tense pressure that had built up over the previous 3 rides. But anyway, what happened was, when I went on it, I got down to about here, about towards the end of the actual incline or decline, and the chair snapped off, right, and I kind of fell like this. I twisted around, and so now it was just me sliding down with no protective gear or anything, sliding down a decline or incline, about to hit corrugated iron. To make the runway wider, we put like one like that and then the other like that, so they kind of overlapped a little bit. So I was heading straight for, this is the like corrugated iron edge, i.e. the sharp bit, the blade of the corrugated iron, and this is my body. This is my body, I don't know if you could see that. I was heading like this, like bad news written all over it. Yeah, so it could have been a lot worse, but I cut up my belly a little bit. It wasn't too bad on my belly, but I cut up my belly up here a little bit, and like I went, and this was all very quick. And I got my wrist as well, and I'll show you this now. and that's my scar that I got from doing it. It was very deep. That was very deep, and you can see that. Watch this vein. The vein runs along there, so it actually pretty much goes adjacent to the vein, and that's what happened. I was an absolute state. I was like, it wasn't bleeding a huge amount actually, but I could like see into my wrist. There was like a hole in my wrist, so I was holding it like this, and I was just like absolutely terrified. And it didn't turn out too badly, but yeah, that was our last foray into the theme park making business. When in the future, when Claire and I move out or whatever, I suppose when we have a garden, which I imagine won't be for a very long time, but at that time I will probably do some kind of ride, either a spectacular cool roundabout, or like a cool water slide, or a cool coaster maybe. Obviously a very simple roller coaster. But that's what I'd like to do. I hope you enjoyed this story.